Dragi gledaoci, dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu emisije Diplomata. Moja današnja sagovornica je Njeno Kraljevsko Veličanstvo, ambasadorka ali i doktorka Olori Temitope Enitan-Ogunvusi, kraljica kuće Oduduva iz Ile Ifea iz Nigerije. Your Regal Majesty, thank you for taking the time of your day to speak with us.
Thank you for having me here.
Could you share with our viewers the purpose of your visit here to Serbia?
Well, I will say that I'm really honored to have been invited by the royal family of the Serbia. And of course, this has been put together by my dear friend, His Excellency, my dear friend, the Ambassador of Serbia to Nigeria.
I see. Now, your title carries both regal heritage, but also humanitarian responsibility. In your daily work, how do you reconcile tradition with modern advocacy?
It is very important to take into cognizance what tradition is all about. Tradition, for me, that's my foundation. So in my daily life, in my humanitarian work, which is my assignment, so my foundation guides me on how to go about my daily activities as an humanitarian, of course, as a queen.
Of course, I see. Now, as a cultural ambassador, what responsibilities come from that work, not just in representing Nigeria, but Africa as well?
Well, our culture, that's our heritage. Our culture is our identity. We must know that. When we lose that, then we lose our identity. So as a cultural and an ambassador, because I am an ambassador, I speak for people, and I'm like an image to everybody in the world. I represent who they are. I tell them when they see me, I'm their identity. So my role as a cultural ambassador must not be misplaced with who I am as a queen. So I live as an example, I live as a role model, I live as a mirror for people to see, to watch. I know people, especially the young ones, to aspire to be like who I am.
What role do you see for cultural diplomacy in peace building for years to come?
Oh yes, that's what everyone advocates for. Even as an individual, family, let's put it that way, let's streamline it from the family to the community, to the country, continent at large. What we preach for and advocate for every time, every day is peace. So our culture, because we're imbibed in it, there are traditions that speaks about who we are, what we should, what we should depict. Peace in every country. Taking into cognizance our diversities. In our diversities, that's where our strength lies. So in our diversities, we can pick what you have or what we do not have, and then form a strong synergy. And at the end of the day, we embrace peace as a nation. Of
course. So diversity is not an obstacle, but rather an advantage.
It is an advantage for us.
Of course. Now, could you share with our viewers the meaning and the importance of the Hopes Alive initiative for Africa?
As that name connotes, hopes alive. So that means that some people are actually hopeless. And then there is someone saying we want to keep that hope alive. So Hopes Alive Initiative for Africa, that's the name of the foundation being established by His Imperial Majesty, the great king of Ile Ife Kingdom. A king who really lives for people. A king who understands his assignment on the throne, who understands his place as a monarch, not just to be in his castle or in the place of his comfort zone, to rule at the helm of his affairs, but to understand the importance of his reign, which is to keep hopes alive. We have a lot of people who are actually hopeless. They're everywhere in the world. So Hopes Alive Initiative for Africa, we stand to keep as many hopes as possible alive, from the children to the youth, to the senior citizens. We do as much as possible just to keep them alive and put that little smile on their faces on a daily basis.
It's certainly a very important mission.
That's absolutely important.
Now, for our viewers, if you could just briefly explain to us who's the person that's currently standing behind you.
That's my traditional aide. As a gracious queen, when I move with my identity. And the staff you can see symbolizes the presence of the great king himself, His Imperial Majesty. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for introducing us as well. Now, maybe to return on the Hopes Alive initiative, could you share with us a specific story that you remember from this initiative that directly changed lives?
There are diverse stories, but this particular one is very striking to me. The ghetto kids, they're called, popularly known as the ghetto kids. They live in Uganda. They are multi-talented kids, but one thing that people really identify with them is the talent as dancers. And I got this inspiration to go visit them in Uganda. That was 2 years ago. So when I told them that, I contacted them through one of my assistants to tell them that I was going to come to Uganda to visit them. And to them, that was almost impossible. It was like, it would never happen. A queen from where? From Nigeria come to a ghetto, because they practically live in the ghetto. And I said, yes, I'm going to come see you. And of course, I was graciously received by the government of Uganda. And when I got to Uganda, I told the principal officer from the presidency that I will be going to the ghetto kids. And they were like, no, 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 no. You can't go to the ghetto. We'll bring the ghetto kids to your hotel to see you, to visit you, interact with you, and then they go back. And I said to them, no, I am here purposely to visit the ghetto, because as a queen, I understand my responsibilities. I'm a queen crowned by God just for the less privileged ones. It's to serve them. You know, I'm their identity, I'm their mouthpiece. I advocate for them. So I live by example. So I said, no, Mr. President, I apologize. I have to go to the ghetto to see the kids. And they were all blown away. And I noticed that there is a big margin between the rich and the poor in Uganda. It's like two parallel lines that never meet. So, and it has never happened before, ever in the history of those kids that live in the ghetto, that someone, not even in the middle class, not but first class, coming all the way from Nigeria to visit them in the ghetto. It was absolutely like a mirage, like something that would never happen. But of course, because I understand my purpose, I went to the ghetto. It was amazing. They were practically crying, like this is a dream come true for them. So we had a good time. I visited them, I wined and dined with them, and then of course I returned back to Nigeria. Now here's the testimonies that I received from them. They said, the moment I left back to Nigeria, it completely changed the narrative of the entire Ugandans. That if a queen from Nigeria, a first-class queen, would leave all the way from Nigeria, and the biggest African country, and come to Uganda to visit the ghetto kids. So what's going on with us here in Uganda? And of course, the king of Uganda, for the first time, the great kingdom called the Buganda Kingdom, invited them to come to the palace to celebrate with the king on his 30th anniversary. And the queen of Buganda Kingdom, followed my footsteps and visited those kids for the first time in 30 years. It has never happened to them before. So the queen wined and dined also with them. And that was, transforming for them. That was like a new chapter being opened in their lives. And a lot of people started visiting them. Now, the icing on the cake. They were banned from the American embassy for 5 years for no reason. Yes. They kept going back to American embassy, but they were denied. And of course, that actually caused a major obstacle to getting any other country's visa.
Of course.
And from the embassy, they got a call. Apparently, one of the top officials at the embassy happened to have a lineage traced down to Ile-Ife Kingdom. And she said, if my queen could come all the way from Nigeria to your ghetto, then why did we ban you for 5 years?
Yeah.
And they invited all the ghetto kids, to the American embassy, and they issued them visa. And now these kids could travel anywhere in the world. That is keeping hopes alive. And that is what we live for. That is what we do. We do not just give you the bread to eat just in a day and that's it. What happens the next day? What happens months, years after? So that is just one out of several testimonies I've gotten in connecting with people, understanding my assignments, going overboard, extra mile to keep as many hopes as possible alive. Of
course, it's certainly a humble mission to have, and a very inspiring story as well. And maybe the awards, the international awards that you received, are certainly a good indicator of your work as well. In the past, at the UN General Assembly, you were honored with international awards for peace and humanitarian service. What concrete impact do you want these recognitions to translate into for communities in Africa?
Well, it is important that when you're given accolades like that, it's priceless. But what does that tell you? For me personally, it tells me it is another signal for me to be better. It is people telling me, we're looking at you, we're watching you. So I must not relent. Peacemaking, like I said earlier, is one thing that is very important. If one country can be at peace with the other country, what's going to happen? Everybody lives a very seamless, peaceful, loving life. So I could see you not as, an obstacle, not as an enemy. So I laid that foundation for us to be friends. So when one country can connect with another country, when I can connect with my fellow being, so life becomes so beautiful. So when I get such awards, it just tells me, it propels me to work harder, to do more, to preach more about who I am, to advocate more for peace, not just within my space, but of course across the continent.
Certainly. Now, you've described yourself personally as a bridge between vision and action, working in digital empowerment, youth leadership, community development, and diplomacy, of course, above all. Which of these areas feel the most urgent to you right now, and how are you turning your vision into actions?
Thank you very much for that question. We know that the world is transforming pretty fast, and those who are really connecting speedily with the change are the youth. When you catch them young, when you catch them pretty fast, especially in the digital space, what happens? We get just natural transformation. Our youth, and we call them the leaders of tomorrow, but see, the tomorrow is the next second that is counting. Tomorrow is not the future in years to come. Tomorrow means the next second. So when we invest in our youth digitally, that is very important. Currently ongoing, we are partnering with the French Embassy in Nigeria. We noticed that in the tech world, the men are identified with technology. So what happens to the female genders? We kind of neglect them. We just feel maybe that the weaker vessels, when it comes to technology, then of course the men, the gurus, no. We want to change the narrative. We're changing the perception. So we're training as many ladies, as many young girls who are brilliant, even if they do not even have the foundation in technology at all. It's ongoing. It's a 6-month-long project, and I think we're in our 5th month. And I was blown away when I visited some weeks ago before I came in at the graduation. Ladies who have no knowledge about computer, now they are building apps. Now they're doing a lot of things online. The narrative needs to change, empowering our youth, changing their mindset, because everything in life is about the mind. When you can change the mind, then you can change the life. And changing one life means you're changing hundreds, millions of lives. So for me right now is to channel all my energy, my strength, focusing more on the youth, the leaders of not tomorrow, but of now.
Of course. Now, your role is, safe to say, a very unique one. What do you hope that people understand about the modern role of queens and royal consorts in the world of today?
Well, I would say that being a queen, or let me say generally, being, royalty, is a blessing from God. For you to be called or having an identity with royalty, you are most blessed. That is something that is priceless. And the question is, why would God then have you being a royalty? What is that for? Is it for the fashion? Is it for the class? Is it for the creme de la creme? No. It is for a purpose. It is for an assignment. Understanding what your purpose is. Why am I royalty? You are being distinct by God. You're being separated from every other person to be royalty. Why? Because there is an assignment that you need to fulfill. And there is nothing short of it. It's to serve people. It's to serve as many people that you can, in your capacity, within your range, your strength to serve. So for me, I always tell people, I would not have been crowned a queen if it is not purposely to serve humanity. So as a queen, my primary assignment, my primary purpose, my vision statement is basically to keep hopes alive.
And it seems that you have certainly been doing exactly that throughout your work.
That's it.
How are you spending your time in Serbia now that you arrived?
Oh, wow. It's been transforming for me. It's been life-changing. I'll say life-changing because the perception I had even before coming here, it's completely different from, what I've been able to put together in my few days of visit. I would say a very big thank you to, those who have been, in support and, in harmony with me, in making sure this trip becomes, very, very life transforming for me. Because when I go somewhere, I just don't want to go with the mindset of, okay, I just come, I see everything, and then not taking something back home. I have a lot to take back home. So being here, it's, for me, has been very amazing, and it's been, for me personally, life transforming. And of course, having a wonderful lady like Venus around me, taking me through, several things, telling me, she was the first person that told me about the history of the monarchy. And for me, that was very touching. And of course, meeting with the king again changed everything for me. The royal family, Prince Philip has been amazing with his amazing wife. So for me, I have a lot to take back home. To have so many historic, virtues here in Serbia, for me, that is mind-blowing, is everything. So I have a message back home, especially to deliver to my king, His Majesty.
Of course, it's certainly good to hear that you have been
welcomed.
And of course,
I must say that you, Serbians are very hospitable, and you are very warm people and very friendly. And for that, I feel I'm home away from home. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the kind messages to the people of our country as well. Now, for the last question, looking ahead, what is the next chapter of your humanitarian mission? Maybe not too far, but tomorrow, as you said.
I want to do projects that will outlive me. It's not enough to be graciously recognized or identified with a project. We do diverse projects, like I said, from the infant to the toddlers, to the youth, to the senior citizens. Those are projects quarterly, monthly, but doing projects that will outlive me, that is my idea of being a great queen. Projects that even generations yet unborn will live to see and say, oh, who did this? It just takes me back to, the tour that I had, yesterday, today, going around, the monarchy, the palace. And I could see what, great kings, especially the late Alexander, what he did, and he's still speaking for him. I want to have that such identity. I want to have projects like, when I'm far gone, it's still ongoing, still speaking for me. Like currently we're building a free school in a rural area, a community where practically they seem abandoned. They seem like nobody is reaching out to them. They feel neglected. Now we're building a world-class school there. So such projects will definitely outlive me, because I'm going to have people who will not just be passionate about now, but of course tomorrow. So my life is all about leaving things behind me that even generations yet unborn will see, and still continue that same principle and live, that's the identity of who I am, understanding the humanitarian spirit that I carry, even when I'm long gone, maybe 100 years from now. That is my prayer, and that is what I want to be remembered for.
Of course, I certainly wish you luck in this mission, Your Regal Majesty, and thank you once again for taking the time off your day to speak with us.
Thank you for having me here. It's been a wonderful time here in Serbia, and trust me, I'm going to be back pretty soon.
That's good news. That's good to hear.
Thank you.
A našim dragim gledaocima hvala na pažnji. Gledali ste razgovor sa njenom kraljevskom veličanstvom, ambasadorkom i doktorkom Olori Temitope Enitan-Ogunvusi, kraljicom kuće Oduduva iz Ile Ifea iz Nigerije. Ostanite uz nas jer dalje idu diplomatske vesti i diplomatski događaji.
Ambasada Ujedinjenih Arapskih Emirata u Beogradu organizovala je prijem povodom Nacionalnog dana ove zemlje, odnosno 54 godine od osnivanja. Svečanosti su prisustvovali predsjednik Srbije Aleksandar Vučić, premijer Đuro Macut, ministri, članovi diplomatskog kora i drugi prijatelji ambasade. Srbija i Ujedinjeni Arapski Emirati dele snažno prijateljstvo, partnerstvo i prosperitetnu budućnost, rečeno je na događaju.
Posvećeni smo tome da stojimo uz naše partnere na putu zajedničkog uspeha, nastavljajući da gradimo mostove saradnje. Stupanjem na snagu sveobuhvatnog sporazuma o ekonomskom partnerstvu, potpisanog prošle godine, otvoreno je obećavajuće novo poglavlje u našim odnosima, kojim se unapređuju trgovina i investicije, olakšava direktna razmena između dve zemlje i jačaju veze privatnog sektora u cilju zajedničkog razvoja i uzajamnog ekonomskog prosperiteta. Ove godine konkretne rezultate dalo je i otvaranje projekta za snabdevanje pijaćom vodom visokog kvaliteta i pokretanje centra elektronske uprave, što predstavlja važan korak ka digitalnoj transformaciji i modernizaciji javnih usluga u Srbiji.
Saradnja između naših zemalja proširila se i na susrete između visokih zvaničnika, ministara i stručnjaka sa obe strane. Učešće Ujedinjenih Arapskih Emirata u nacionalnim proslavama i vojnim paradama Srbije bila je časno prisustvo, koje je oslikalo vrednosti jedinstva, snage i slobode koje povezuju naša dva prijateljska naroda, dodao je ambasador. U znak sećanja na 1918. godinu, kada su se Rumuni iz Transilvanije ujedinili sa Kraljevinom Rumunijom, ambasada te zemlje u Beogradu proslavila je Dan državnosti. Rumunija je prošla kroz mnoge izazove, a danas je ona posvećen i vredan član Evropske unije i NATO-a, stub bezbednosti u regionu i na Zapadnom Balkanu, ali i zemlja koju sa Srbijom veže 145 godina diplomatskih odnosa, rekla je ambasadorka Silvija Davidou.
Naše veze rastu organski, bez obzira na okolnosti u dve zemlje. Ove godine imali smo dinamičan niz tehničkih kontakata, kao i zvaničnih poseta na vladinom i parlamentarnom nivou. Saradnju u oblasti unutrašnjih poslova i energetike učvrstili smo kroz nova potpisana dokumenta, a nastavljamo i saradnju u oblasti odbrane. Rumunsko-srpska trgovina i investicije nastavljaju da rastu, a projekti u sektorima energetike i transporta daju pozitivne efekte na turizam, trgovinu, međuljudske odnose i mnoge druge oblasti. Rumunija je dosledan zagovornik evropskih integracija Srbije. Naša poruka srpskim vlastima i građanima je dvostruka. Prvo, iz sopstvenog iskustva. Ništa vredno, nijedna nacija nije postigla bez istinske posvećenosti i doslednog rada. Drugo, Rumunija vas razume, podržava i želi da sarađuje sa vama kako bismo zajedno nastavili put ka jačanju demokratije i održivog razvoja u okviru Evropske unije.
Međusobni uticaj između dva naroda snažno su prisutni u književnosti, kulturi, religijskom slikarstvu, muzici i filmu, dodala je ambasadorka Rumunije i pozvala u posetu njenoj zemlji, odnosno Temišvaru i Oradeji, gradovima koji su, kako kaže, najbolji primer transformacije posljednjih godina, odnosno uspešne upotrebe evropskih fondova. Treće veče manifestacije Mozaik kulture 2025. obeležilo je otvaranje izložbe Iskra u kamenu Vizije Petra Lubarde, posvećene jednom od najznačajnijih slikara 20. veka. Njegova umetnost je vanvremenska i svetionik naše kulturne povezanosti, kao i inspiracija za buduće generacije, rečeno je na svečanosti u Palati umetnosti Madlena.
Onaj ko makar jednom zakorači u crnogorske pejzaže, ko osjeti miris kamena, svjetlost planinskih visina i tišinu mora pod Lovćenom, razumjeće dublje i istinitije duhovnu snagu Lubardinih slika. U toj prirodi, istovremeno surovoj i plemenitoj, ogleda se njegova umjetnost, nemirna, moćna i prepuna života. Za Lubardu Crna Gora nije bila samo prostor porijekla, već i večiti duhovni izvor, učitelj koji ga je nadahnjivao, ali iskušavao. Ona mu je podarila svoju surovost i ljepotu, snagu i nemir, koje pretvara u slike koje govore univerzalnim jezikom umjetnosti.
Petar Lubarda je svojim slikama spojio snagu prirode, duh prostora i čovekovu večitu potragu za smislom. Izložba je realizovana u saradnji sa Ambasadom Crne Gore u Srbiji, a sastavljena iz privatne kolekcije s potvrđenom autentičnošću.
On je odavno skrenuo pažnju kulturne javnosti, pogotovo od poznate istorijske izložbe, što je 1951. priredio u Beogradu. Naša istorija umetnosti se s pravom može podeliti do Lubarde i od Lubarde. To je bilo vreme sublimacije njegovog slikarskog govora, vreme kada se sticajem okolnosti našao u Crnoj Gori, odvojen od aktuelnih zbivanja u umetnosti, o kojima nije imao informacija, niti bližih saznanja, dakle u omeđenom ambijentu, izuzetnim radnim i stvaralačkim poletom, nadasve posebno fizičkom i psihičkom energijom koja se samo jednom u životu sabre, uspeve da predupredi sve ono što je drugim slikarima bilo lako dostupno. Zapravo, on je smogao dovoljno snage da iznedri i sazda tada ključne radove kojima je zadobio istaknuto mesto u istoriji naše i ne samo naše umetnosti.
Otac me zamolio da samo podsjetim da nam se 120 godina od rođenja Petra približava i da će fondacija i familija da radi na tome da se to obilježi kako je njemu dostojno. Znači, tog jula sledeće godine, pa ćemo, ako Bog da to, da napravimo i u Srbiji i u Crnoj Gori.
Program je nastavljen nastupom Zemunskog kamernog hora koji je pred mnogobrojnim gostima izvodio pesme iz Crne Gore. Jedan od najcenjenijih savremenih šansonjera, Gasan Jamin iz Libana i istaknuti francuski pijanista Njenim Vincent održali su koncert u ustanovi kulture Gvarnelius. Događaj je organizovala Ambasada Libana u Beogradu, a publika imala jedinstvenu priliku da uživa u izboru dela francuskih pesama.
Uvek je zadovoljstvo biti u Beogradu, gradu koji ima poseban šarm, energiju i tople ljude. Posebno volim ovaj prostor čija vrednost dolazi iz njegovog nasleđa i istorije. Iz puta koje je prošao tokom 25 godina i njegovog kulturnog doprinosa Beogradu i Srbiji. Ovde su promovisani najveći svetski umetnici i ovo je jedini mali prostor u kojem nastupam, jer svuda u svetu moji koncerti su obično u ogromnim dvoranama sa hiljadama ljudi. A večeras imam čast što nastupam sa Njenim Vincentom, jednim od najpoznatijih savremenih pijanista iz Francuske.
Koncerte pod nazivom Veče francuskih šansona Gasan Jamin organizuje u najprestižnijim dvoranama, a njegovi svetski nastupi su već zakazani za sezonu 2026-2027. Za umetnički rad i doprinos odlikovan je nacionalnim ordenom Kedra, viteškog reda i medaljom predsjedništva Republike u Libanu, kao i zlatnom medaljom časti koju dodeljuje Francuska akademija umetnosti, nauke i književnosti. Pijanista Njenim Vincent sa samo 13 godina upisao je konzervatorijum u Parizu, sa 18 godina je dobio zvanje magistra klavira i nagradu Harmoni, nakon čega su se samo nizala priznanja. U dosadašnjoj bogatoj karijeri sarađivao je sa brojnim svetskim orkestrima. Knjiga Veća Evropa, proširenje EU od Zapadnog Balkana do Ukrajine predstavljena je u Muzeju knjige i putovanja Udruženja za kulturu, umetnost i međunarodnu saradnju Adligat. Na književnoj večeri govorili su autori knjige ambasador Italije Luka Gori i direktor Kancelarije Svetske banke u Srbiji Nikola Pontara. S obzirom na to da su obojica autora iz Italije, veče je bilo propraćeno italijanskim melodijama koje je izvodila Milica Milović. Viktor Lazić, advokat, putopisac i predsjednik Adligata, istakao je da se u Adligatu čuva izuzetno bogata zbirka italijanistike, uključujući legat poznatog prevodioca Dragana Mraovića, a da fondovi o zemljama Evropske unije u Adligatu čine čak 80% svih materijala i da je to bio razlog organizovanja ovog događaja. Oba sagovornika su istakla da geografski i kulturno Srbija pripada Evropskoj uniji, te da je potrebno iskoristiti mogućnost za pristupanje EU koja se sada pojavljuje. Aneta Đermanović, diplomata u penziji, je podelila svoje profesionalne iskustva iz bogate diplomatske karijere u vezi sa putem Srbije ka Evropskoj uniji. Nikola Pontara je rekao da ukoliko se nastavi sadašnji tempo razvoja, Srbiji će biti potrebno 100 godina da dostigne nivo razvijenosti Evropske unije. Prema njegovim rečima ima mnogo prostora za poboljšanje, ali se mora priznati da je mnogo toga i učinjeno do sada. Luka Gori, ambasador Italije u Srbiji, izjavio je da Srbija ne može pobeći od svoje geografske pozicije jer je ona evropska zemlja, evropske kulture, okružena državama koje su deo Evrope i NATO-a i da je potrebno da sve zemlje regiona, uključujući i Srbiju, postanu deo Evropske unije kako se ne bi stvarale nove podele. U prepunoj sali Muzeja knjige i putovanja među gostima je bilo predstavnika vlasti i opozicije, bankarskog sektora, kulturnih i umetničkih krugova. Publici se obratio i profesor kulturne diplomatije i međunarodnih odnosa na Univerzitetu u Padovi i Univerzitetu u Vitlejemu Đorđije Andrijan, na čiju inicijativu je program organizovan.